We're familiar with StreamYard.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Live Reality Games. Here at Live Reality Games, you can subscribe to everything live reality game related. We cover everything from Survivor, Big Brother, and honestly, live reality games. Like, you really like those shows, and we put those on in smaller capacities, but still very similar experiences. So we are here today with Ascendance Live. Ascendance is an online reality game. However, this season, they have turned things over into the live community. We are joined by some of the production members here. Slade, welcome.
Hello. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much. How are you?
Excited to be here.
Just a little introduction on our production members here. Slade, what is your background in these live reality games?
Well, I notoriously played Real Foot. And then I redeemed myself, I think, in Mayhem. I played Mayhem Manor and got to the final 10. I was one of the last people to go into an elimination and then lost my first one. And that's where I'm at right now. We've been dabbling.
Well, fantastic for dabbling. Anybody that also wants to dabble, we do have a group on Facebook called Live Reality Game Casting, or LRG Casting. You can search for that and kind of be up to date on all the casting stuff in the area. We have a fan chiming in, Mr. Kirk Carlson himself, covering Survival Challenge right now. Glad we're covering this. So sounds like Kirk might be interested in a new type of game coming soon. But regardless, we're also joined by Papa. Papa, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Your background in these kind of live reality games for the audience at home.
I played the same season of Mayhem as Slade, and I got to the final 7-8. I was like a comp beast, but I got 7th, so.
Nice. Last but definitely not least, one of our correspondents in kind of like the LRG, exactly, hands down for sure. Nicole, welcome back tonight.
Thank you for having me, as always. I played that Mayhem season 2, but we're not going to talk about it.
That's one we can just like brush under the rug, right?
I don't like chess. I do like chess. I don't like life-size chess. That's all we'll say.
Kirk does want to like peek back a little bit. Notorious. I watched him in Real Foot. So
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Don't watch him for long.
But what we are watching right now, Nicole and I were on the draft pick for Survival Challenge happening in Macomb right now. Nicole and I were kind of on the draft list, and Nicole, I think you're beating me at the moment.
I'm still doing pretty well, as long as they don't sneak in another elimination after the tornado passes.
Well, we hope them the best of luck out there. But tonight we are focusing on Ascendance Live. Ascendance is a online reality game. A lot of people like from the live reality game community found out about online games from the quarantine, and now we're kind of breaking out of it right now. So, Nicole, as it says in the title, you're the creator of this game. Can you tell us a little bit about how the game works, per se?
Sure. So I like to say Big Brother and Survivor had a baby, and it's called Ascendance. So we do have something similar to an HOH. We call it Captain. So every round, everyone's eligible to compete for Captain. Most rounds that Captain is safe unless we sneak in maybe a double elimination or something sneaky. But whoever wins Captain, sometimes it's 1, 2, or 3 people. Those people then are required to split the remaining players into teams. Then those teams are going to compete head to head to try to basically not be last. Sometimes one team will go, sometimes 2 teams will go, sometimes they're separate, sometimes they're together. They like to keep people on their toes. But whoever loses does then have to vote out someone on their team. And then we kind of start it all over again. There's a new captain's challenge. New people are in power. Presumably there's new teams chosen because only once in the history of Ascendance has the same teams aligned back to back. So you really have to stay on your toes because the people you're with this round, very next round, you more than likely won't be with all of them.
Interesting. We have another fan chiming in from Facebook. Destiny says she likes 3 of us. That means the 3 of you, and she honestly loves me. I'm just saying that's exactly what she meant by this. Anyway, Papa, you played a few like online reality games and maybe dabbled with the live reality games thing too. How is Ascendance compared to other online reality games?
I feel like Ascendance, honestly, the strategy and gameplay starts from minute 1. A lot of people come in and they're like, oh, this is going to be like Survivor. It's going to be really simple. And then they get through that first round and they're like, oh, this is really, really different. And you really have to think about who's winning the captain's challenges, how you're splitting the team. Because if you split the team and forget to put a target on there, now all your friends are on a team and you might have to vote one of them out.
Like Kirk says, it reminds him of Pirate Master, which is kind of a similar twist, but not so much. Like, I feel like Pirate Master is more random who gets to be on teams. However, in this case, it seems to be like there's one challenge that clearly deems somebody as the captain. Slade, how do you feel like this is different from either like a Big Brother or like a Survivor thing?
Honestly, it is very different. I've never seen a format where the pendulum can swing so dramatically. I mean, one round you could be sitting with your babes, and then that captain doesn't like you, so now you got taken to the goon squad, and now you're gonna get assassinated. Like, you is the power swing, and how well you can hold on to the pendulum. It moves like it moves. It moves. That's all I can say.
Oh, that is super exciting because we see it so many times, either in Survivor or honestly in Big Brother. We typically see like this group of people that work together. And we see this like rounds like 3 to like 18 or whatever the case may be. Like, there's this power alliance that just kind of like takes hold of the season. And honestly, I get a little bit bored with Big Brother because of that. So I'm excited to see like this change in gameplay and how it works out right here. Sean is commenting faves, so thanks, Sean. I think expressing that about all of the panelists here tonight. Nicole, since you're the creator, like, what was the idea? Like, how did you get started on this?
First, I'll shout out Sean. He was one of our OG prod members in the early seasons. He's actually the reason I ever found out about orgs on an old app called TV Party app, which is, I think, now defunct. But so I joined actually Matthew's org. That was the first org I played, and I played a couple after that. And I just was looking through some of the org pages and just seeing a lot of familiar faces at the end. A lot of people coming in with the same gameplay, people that could come in and just coast to the end with prior relationships and things like that. And I just wanted to shake that up, to challenge people to have a new strategy, to keep them on their toes. Ascendance is what I would call a power-heavy game. We do have powers that also weigh in. None of them have actually ever significantly changed the power dynamic of the game, really, because there is a lot of paranoia in Ascendance. A lot of people get really worried. They misplay powers. They play them too early, things like that. So I just wanted to challenge people to think on their feet and to have to maintain a game. You can't come in, like you mentioned, round 3, set up a group of people, and then just coast to the end and show back up at final 5. If you do that in Ascendance, the chances are you're not going to make it very far because you're going to get set up on a team to go home. So the captains really do set the tone for the round. You can set a target like in Big Brother, but you have less power of what happens once that comes out of your hands. You do get to vote because you're captain, but you're one of many votes. So my really thought process was just to challenge people's strategy and social games to just evolve, and just to step up and just to be constantly changing throughout the game.
And what I love most about original games is like, so many people are like, oh, I know how to play Survivor. I know how to play Big Brother. But that's not all the games there are. Like, there are so many social games out there that come to fruition because of these, that are kind of get inspired. And people, these are the games that you should test yourselves against. Like, just in general, like Nicole, this has been, you filmed season 1 already, is that correct?
Yes, we filmed end of June.
And tell me about your experience, just like bringing it from the online game to the live game audience.
I was very nervous. Matthew and I did not sleep a lot in June. Just, crossing T's and dotting I's. We're very much planners and backup planners. So, we had comps in case it rained and comps in case one of our suitcases didn't show up, and, backup plans on backup plans. And it turned out we really didn't need any of those backup plans for the most part. I mean, it went more smooth than I could have imagined. I think the biggest snafu was, one of our helpers, which happened to be my husband, threw his back out after day 1 with all the running around. And so we were down a person to run errands. But other than that, I mean, it really couldn't have gone any better. The cast was really great. I would shout out Totem Pole / Penthouse because, I mean, I just really had a lot of know-how going into this. I had a lot of experience of what can come up, what do I need to plan for, who do I need doing what. So I can't take all the credit, but man, our team really was on it. And, some of the people that went out early really stepped up and said, hey, I'll help. And the episodes are a whole different thing. I don't want to talk about the stress of that, but the actual game itself, I could have asked for a better season.
And really, it's all about the game itself. Like, even in the live reality games that we don't get to see filmed, and maybe we just see little live videos here and there, it's all about the experience of playing. Slade, take me back to your first time that you played maybe like Mayhem Manor. Like, what were your thoughts about that, and what did you get from it?
Like, what were my initial thoughts or my thoughts walking away?
Yeah, both, actually. What were you thinking about getting into this house with like 40 some people? Because this is Mayhem Manor. Like, there's like 60 people playing, right?
So, I mean, the first initial fears of always, oh my God, how am I going to remember these people's names? How am I going to remember these people's names? You are you and you are you until, until long enough. But really, it's kind of, even when the game isn't started, the game is started the moment like you arrive with any kind of live game, I feel like. So with Mayhem in particular, because, my short stay at Real Foot, this felt like I really had to show up. So when walking into Mayhem, it was pressure. It's anxiety inducing. There's people everywhere. It's a lot. It's a lot. It can really frazzle you if you don't prepare yourself going into these kinds of situations. My thoughts walking out was
prepared yourself so well. Like,
yes.
How are you adapting to this like anxiety kind of thing?
How am I adapting? I fly like a butterfly. I'm a social baby. So, and I think that's what it takes to thrive in these types of games. I think that's what it takes to thrive in Ascendance, because you have to be able to be good with everybody. So your captain doesn't set you up and put you on a bad team. So you got to be able to butterfly from round to round. And if you can't, you're going to get swatted. And the same thing is how it was in Mayhem. Mayhem is very easy to get swatted. Same thing with Ascendance. Don't get swatted.
Don't get swatted. Papa, is that kind of your like take back from these live reality games playing as well? Don't get swatted.
Yeah, no, because it all moves so fast. Like in orgs, you have all this time to sit down and get to know people. But like live games, you walk in and it's like, say hi to everyone. Did I shake this person's hand? Like, you're constantly thinking, like, what is one thing that like you wouldn't normally think about that would send you home?
Mm-hmm. Now we've already talked about Ascendance Live. Like, Nicole, where do we find out about it? Are we interested in applying, or maybe just checking out little like teasers here and there? How do we get like the updates?
So the easiest place to go, in my opinion, is to go to YouTube and search Ascendance.org. I'm sure over time that will gradually change to maybe Ascendance Live, but right now we have recognition as Ascendance.org. Same thing with Facebook. Ascendance.org is our Facebook group. But if you subscribe to the YouTube, you will get that first notification when we post teasers. There are already a few out there. We'll drop another one on Thursday. Cast reveal is very, very shortly. You should be seeing it before the end of the month, a sneak peek. So I think that those are your two best ways. We do have a Discord. We do have Instagram, things like that. Those are all linked on the Facebook group, so you will be able to get most of the information you need there. Casting, we want people to know a little bit more about the game before we do release Season 2 apps. We already do have dates planned. We are lining up our production. We're looking at houses. But we do want people to see a little bit of how the game plays out, see what they're getting into before they apply. So I would say before you see a jury in Season 1, you will see some apps drop. So keep your eye out here, maybe around mid-September. Definitely before October, you should be seeing some information about when those will drop, and then we will drop those on the Facebook page as well.
Which I think is a great time personally, because I am one of those jobs that I have to schedule everything pretty much at the start of the year. So I really appreciate those applications coming out a little bit earlier in the season so I can prepare what to look forward to in the next season. Kirk makes a comment about the swatting metaphor we did. He says, I like it when I get swatted. Uh-oh. Maybe I should have read this before I put it on screen. Because it's the reason to swat back harder. And it's true. Like, if you get
You gotta
knocked down,
survive your first SWAT, though.
It's where you better find a pendant of power then.
or like another swat to swat on somebody else, be like, hit that person instead of me. Like, that was a little, like a love tap. That was a love tap. I'm like, hit somebody else harder.
Yes.
Yes, that one caught me off guard. I was like, hey, we're just going to go into that comment. But anyway, Slade, like, what are you keeping up to date in, like, the live reality games? Have you been following Reelfoot after your last, like, play?
I did. I actually knew a couple people who played this last season of Reelfoot. I went to Vegas with Lydia, and she destroyed Queen.
We love Lydia in the audience, like, in the group chat. Lydia was Queen. Yeah.
I've met Lydia. I went to Vegas with her. I love Lydia. I played one of my first orgs ever with her. And then Justin, who did very well, if I remember right. He was one of my closest allies in one of my Big Brother orgs that I played way back when. So I was invested in this season of Reelfoot, and I did watch along as best as I can. And yes, I was very happy with how my people did.
You should go back and watch the draft we filmed a couple of days ago. Then.
Oh boy, now I got to.
Papa, you're keeping up to date with any like live games, or you're more focused on the online stuff still these days?
Honestly, I haven't like watched a ton of the live games. I did like look through the Reelfoot cast. I noticed like Taylor Gaby and Carlos, but I haven't been keeping up with Survival Challenge or anything. So mainly orgs.
Absolutely. Same question to Nicole. What you been keeping up with these days?
I mean, Matthew missed a key opportunity to shout out Big Brother Hogwarts Live. I won season 1 of the org. I should have won All Stars of the org, but someone who never played did. Love you, Jared. So that was the last season. He went through 7 seasons because there are 7 books. And it's now time for a live season. I love Bill. He's very creative. If you love thematic type of things, you will really enjoy his game. I believe that's going to be early to mid 2022. So I've been kind of giving tips there and really just collaborating behind the scenes. I've had a few live game hosts just come and say, hey, you know, how much does food cost? How did you do your shuttles? Things like that. That's kind of what I do in my day-to-day job, is organize big projects and keep people moving. So that's kind of where I am. And I'm also planning season 2, getting with some people on Etsy and getting puzzles made and pendants made and things like that. Just always keeping the wheel turning so you don't have a last minute rush to get things done.
Absolutely. Like, I really appreciate that too, because it's all about the community coming together and trying to support themselves. I am super disappointed that Bill decided to end it on season 7. I really wanted to go out and represent the Hufflepuffs, because that is what I am 100%. And I feel like season 8 would have been the Hufflepuff season. And maybe that's just how it ends. It's okay. Like, I'm sure Hufflepuff will win.
Live.
Exactly. 100
live winner.
Come on now.
Slade is with me 100%. Thank you. And Destiny is chiming in. Watch Survivor CNU. We are currently covering that one gather. We are coming up to the last 3 episodes. However, still in the live game community, there is still a ton of stuff to check out. Just like Ascendance will be joining us pretty soon here with live episodes, and we will be doing a cast assessment and all of that fun stuff eventually. For the people that are chiming in right now, a little bit later in the podcast, Nicole, remind people, where do they find out about Ascendance Live?
So first and foremost, the biggest way you can support us is go to YouTube, type in Ascendance.org, and click the subscribe button. If you don't like the notifications, turn those off. But any subs we can get help us. We can get sponsors in future seasons to help us kind of lower our costs if we can show, hey, people are valuing this content. To get all things Ascendance, you need to go to the Facebook group. Ascendance.org, again, will get you there. We have links to pretty much everything there. We're not going to tell you what the dates are for season 2 because we know people were scouring Snapchat maps and Instagram posts, and people were saying, why is so-and-so getting a haircut? Like, we were getting all kinds of little suspicious things going on because our dates had been well known. So we'll be a little bit more close to the chest this season, but I will say, like, spring 2022 is probably when you're going to see the next batch of recruits, and you will hear information on the Facebook page.
Now, unlike Survival Challenge, which is currently airing right now, Papa, how does this compare to a outdoor thing compared to Ascendance? Is there a big difference? Are you spending time out in the woods? Do you have a shelter? What's going on? Housing?
Girl, when we go to Florida, we're definitely getting a house. We are not staying outside. A few comps outside is enough for me. I like the air conditioning. So it's in a house, but we do try to do some comps outside.
A little bit of fresh air every once in a while, right?
Yep.
In Florida, it's more like a little bit of oppressive heat, but...
And then you got to go inside and, like, rehydrate. You're like, oh, thank goodness, I need a drink now.
My good old swampland.
Slade, being head of cinematography, it seems. Kirk has a question. When do episodes come out?
Don't ask me this question.
Slade is referring it back to Nicole. Nicole, when are episodes about to drop, approximately?
So we don't want to make promises we can't keep. We have a date in our head, but you definitely should see them by September. By Labor Day, you should be getting word on that. We don't want to make the snafu of starting to release content and then run out of content. And it does take a couple weeks to get an episode created, especially at the beginning when there's a lot of people to cover. So the first episode's wrapping up. We're starting on the second episode now in editing. So we want to our goal is to get about 5 episodes complete before we release the first episode. So once we get episode 4, we'll have that firm date, because then we'll feel confident that we can continue to push out content and not leave people hanging.
Sounds fantastic. Now, turning back to Slade a little pressure here. You are titled as cinematographer. And in general, we know live reality games, people wear different kinds of hats. Like, what was kind of your, production on this?
So I held the camera quite a lot. Me and Dylan, we held lots of cameras, and I got to have a lot of fun telling people, you need to get into this light, and I need to be on this side, and you need to move over here. And I would stick cameras, and I'll tell you what, by the end of the last day of filming, people were moving for me. Because ultimately, and I told them, I said, I'm here to help you look good. So don't sass me and just get out of my way. And then I also helped a lot with the transportation, and I just kind of did whatever. They say, Slade, do this. I say, okay, bye. And then I would go do it.
Slade's missing one of the biggest parts he did, which was build the narrative. He sat in every single confessional with me for hours after just building that story and feeding in. We heard this from, the person that made it 3rd. So we need the person that made it 5th to say this. Like, we need to get that story cohesive. So if you're telling one story, we have to connect that dot from someone else. So that's where editing is, like, getting all those story points there. So when it comes down to final 6 and someone says something, it makes sense to the audience why that was said. We know the story, but we've got to get them to tell you the story. So Slade was in the trenches. It was a long week.
It was a long time, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see, especially since I was holding the camera. I witnessed so many things live with my eyeballs. So then I was like, I don't ask about this and this and this and this. It was fun. It's truly, I'm like, that's all I'll say.
Slater's an Ascendance fan now.
I was like, I'm curious, like, after your experience playing, like, do you really want to be behind the scenes, like, all this time? I feel like you're eating all this, like, gossip up. Is that kind of, like, what you're, like, destined to do these days?
Well, see, it's really exciting because when I approach a org or a live game, specifically more so orgs because it's a little bit easier because they're a little bit longer paced. I specifically play trying to find what role people are playing in the narrative because ultimately all of these games are a storyline. So it was really fun to be on the other side of it. And once it was all done, be like, okay, I think you were this and maybe you look like this and you look like this. And that was fun. And that was like, woo, that was the best part of the whole experience, really, probably for me.
Papa, being the host of this season, like, have you, like, learned anything from past that you wanted to bring in it? Were you trying to be like a Phil or like a Jeff in the season? What was your inspiration as a host?
Honestly, my inspiration was like, be your own type of host. Like, I have my own like things I say. The cast pointed out I say alrighty a lot, and I didn't know I said that. And then I came home and I noticed in my real life I say alrighty a lot, so you'll hear that a lot. But no, just being me, my quirky self, and you know, every time I'd screw up, I'd just be like, you know what, let's do this again, like film this again. So
it sounds like an easy like hash at like a drinking game. So anytime the host says alrighty, let's take a drink, okay? Just throwing that there for
that was me.
Not be held responsible for anything that happened.
Or the alcohol poisoning.
Water.
Like a fourth of a drink, then we'll get there. We'll see how much alrighty is in the first episode, and then let's recalculate the game after that. So I really appreciate you all hanging out here tonight, hanging out for Ascendance Live and chatting with Live Reality Games about this new live reality game. This is a mix of what it sounds like Big Brother, Pirate Master, a little bit of Survivor, a little bit of the challenge too, like playing a challenge to win power. Like that is a really like important part, it sounds like.
Yes, the most important part in my opinion.
Slade, Papa, and Nicole, thank you so much. And thank you for the audience for asking some really great questions too. Just as a reminder, episodes come out when, Nicole? Approximately.
We're
no
gonna
rush.
Early October, but we plan to beat that date.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kirk chimes in for already. So if I had a drink here already, I would take something. There we go, Nicole. Thank you. All right. Well, on that aspect, thank you all for joining us tonight. If you have any more questions, search Ascendance.org on Facebook or on YouTube for all the details. And until then, we will talk to you later. Bye.